Good evening. Let's come to order and go on the record. I am Kimberly W. Duffley, a commissioner on the North Carolina Utilities Commission, and I will be presiding over this hearing tonight. I now call for hearing docket number E-100 sub 192 in the matter of 2023 Integrated Resource Plan of Virginia Electric and Power Company doing business as Dominion Energy, hereinafter referred to as Dominion. Before we proceed further, and as is required by the State Government Ethics Act, the Commission has a duty to avoid conflicts of interest. Please let the record reflect that I have no conflicts of interest with respect to this matter. On May 1st, 2023, Dominion filed its proposed 2023 Integrated Resource Plan, or IRP, which has been subsequently corrected. Dominion filed the most up-to-date version of its proposed 2023 IRP on September 15th, 2023. Also, on May 1st, 2023, Dominion filed its 2023 Renewable Energy Portfolio Standard, or REPS, Compliance Plan. The public staff, which represents the using and consuming public, is a party to this proceeding pursuant to North Carolina General Statute Section 62-15D. On January 29th, 2024, the public staff filed its comments regarding Dominion's 2023 IRP and REPS Compliance Plan. On April 1st, 2024, Dominion filed reply comments. On May 14th, 2024, the Commission issued an order that scheduled a hearing for the purpose of receiving public witness testimony to take place at this time and in this manner. That brings us to tonight. The purpose of tonight's hearing is to hear from Dominion's North Carolina customers regarding their concerns with Dominion's proposed IRP. Each public witness that has registered in advance in accordance with the instructions in the Commission's order will be given the opportunity to testify. In order to facilitate this remote hearing, we will use the following procedures. In conducting this hearing, the Commission functions as a judicial capacity. We will follow, for the most part, the North Carolina Rules of Civil Procedure and Rules of Evidence. Because the Commission is functioning as a court, I cannot respond to your questions. Rather, we are here to receive evidence from you all in the form of your testimony. In addition, for these reasons, if you choose to testify tonight, you will be asked to affirm the truthfulness of your testimony. Public witnesses will appear by audio connection only. The attorneys and I will appear by video and audio connection. Any public witness that wishes to view a live video of the proceeding may access it on the computer via YouTube, which is linked from the Commission's home webpage. However, be sure to mute your computer when you are called on to testify to avoid feedback. This hearing is being transcribed by a court reporter, and it is critical that we limit all interference with her ability to hear me and those of you who testify. Public witnesses will be called on to testify in the order in which witnesses have been called. When it's your turn to speak, the WebEx administrator will send you a request to unmute. You will hear the message. You are being asked to unmute yourself. To unmute, press *6. It is important that you listen for this message. Once you unmute yourself, please state your name to signify that you are unmuted. At that time, I will ask you to provide an affirmation as to the truthfulness of your testimony. Once you have provided the affirmation, the attorney for the public staff will ask you a series of questions, and then you'll be allowed to testify. To ensure that all witnesses have the opportunity to participate, witnesses will be limited to 3 minutes. Counsel for any party may ask questions of the witnesses. In addition, the Commission will have the opportunity to ask questions. This means if you provide testimony, you may be asked questions by the attorneys or by me. However, as a reminder, the commission and the attorneys for the parties are not allowed to respond to your questions during this hearing. Okay, we are ready to begin, and I will call upon counsel to introduce themselves. Beginning with the applicant.
Good evening, Commissioner Duffley. My name is Andrea Kells. I'm with the law firm of McGuire Woods, and I am appearing this evening on behalf of Virginia Electric and Power Company, doing business in North Carolina as Dominion Energy North Carolina. Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening, Presiding Commissioner Duffley and everyone. My name is William Creech. I'm a staff attorney with the public staff of the North Carolina Utilities Commission on behalf of the using and consuming public. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening. And are there any opening statements?
No, thank you.
Seeing none, John, if you'll please unmute the first witness.
Commissioner Duffley, Presiding Commissioner Duffley, my apologies. I did have one thing I'd like to add, if I may, just momentarily.
Sure, go ahead, Mr. Creech.
I've already introduced myself, and again, my name is William Creech with the public staff. I just want y'all to know that the public staff is an independent state agency that represents the using and consuming public in matters before the commission. The public staff has been reviewing the filings in this matter, and the public staff is comprised of engineers, accountants, economists, and attorneys, and we work in teams, and we've been analyzing the filings. As you may have seen in the docket, the public staff has filed its comments on January 29th, 2024, and they're available as at the website, the commission's website, as Presiding Commissioner Duffley indicated. The purpose of the hearing is, as has been indicated, though, I just wanted to reiterate, this is your moment as customers to voice your perspective on matters that are important to you and certainly important to all of us. Each of you indicated online that you wish to make a statement, and that, of course, if you no longer wish to make a statement, you can indicate that. And you will be unmuted, and then I will ask you several questions. I just wanted to say finally that we appreciate your being here tonight. We appreciate everyone being here tonight, but certainly the customers. This is your time. Please speak clearly, and we look forward to hearing from you. Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Duffley.
Okay, thank you. Do we have the first witness?
Yes, this is Brian Stoner.
Okay, Mr. Stoner, do you affirm that the testimony you're about to give tonight is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
It is mine, and it's the truth as far as I know it, yes.
Thank you. Mr. Creech?
Yes. Mr. Stoner, can you please state your name for the record, your full name for the record, please?
Sure, it is Brian, B-R-I-A-N, Stoner, S-T-O-N-E-R.
And your address for the record, please.
My address for the record is, I have two addresses, but 747 North Main Street, Roxborough, North Carolina, 27573.
Thank you. And who is your electric provider, Mr. Stoner?
My electric provider is Duke Energy at 1. My energy provider is Dominion Energy.
Very good. All right. And do you have a statement for the record, Mr. Stoner?
I do.
Please proceed.
Thank you very much, and I appreciate the opportunity. So Dominion Energy claims on their website and elsewhere to focus on increasing renewable energy resources, such as solar and wind power. Dominion also claims to be committed to engaging with local communities and stakeholders to ensure sustainable and responsible energy development in North Carolina. I do not believe they have lived up to either of these claims, and personally observe them to be resistant to openly engaging with local communities, subject matter experts, and stakeholders. Climate change is real, and we have a responsibility here to consider other options than simply build out more of the same fossil fuel-based infrastructure that got us to where we are today. We are seeing more wildfires earlier, larger, and more disruptive than before. The U.S. has seen an increase in the frequency and intensity of heat waves and droughts, shattering temperature records each year. And the Atlantic hurricane season has witnessed more intense storms and higher surges due to ocean warming temperatures. And flooding events are also becoming more frequent. All of these contribute to significant increases in the cost to insure our homes and our property, whether we are directly impacted by these events or not. We are asking you here to hold Dominion Energy to their stated claims and to seriously expand their investments and deployment of renewable energy sources in North Carolina and beyond. I believe this is both smart policy and good business. Beyond the environmental benefits that I mentioned earlier, renewables are more sustainable. They are infinite resources with long-term predictable availability. It actually makes economic sense. The renewable energy sector creates more jobs per unit of electricity generated compared to fossil fuels. Let me say that again. Renewable energy sector creates more jobs per unit of electricity generated compared to fossil fuels. And this includes high-paying jobs in manufacturing, installation, and maintenance. We also improve energy independence and price stability. Lastly, investing in renewables now drives technological innovation, leading to more efficient and cost-effective energy solutions over time. So here at this meeting, it is easy to keep doing the same thing, but I believe we owe it to our children to do some hard work now to save them from even harder choices later. And I do thank you, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak.
Thank you very much, Mr. Stoner. Let's see if there are questions.
Yes, thank you, Commissioner Duffley. I do have just a couple of questions. Good evening, Mr. Stoner.
Yes, to whom am I speaking?
Yes, that was my next. I am Andrea Cowles. I'm here on behalf of Virginia Electric and Power Company, which does business in North Carolina as DENC. Good evening.
Great, thank you.
When Mr. Creech, he asked you a couple of questions. One was, who is your electric provider? And you answered Duke Energy, is that right?
Yes, I hesitated because we have a farm and other residents that's only serviced by Dominion, and where Dominion is building a facility adjacent to us, but we are technically off grid at that facility. So I have multiple locations, so that's why I hesitated. But yes, sure. Duke Energy is my electric provider in the one residence I mentioned.
And then his next question, and you said when you followed up to him that your energy provider was Dominion. By energy, did you mean your natural gas service provider?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Are you, I'm sure you are aware that the subject of this public hearing we're attending this evening is Dominion's electric utility, Virginia Electric and Power Company, which in North Carolina does business as DENC?
Yes, I am aware of that.
And are you aware that that company is a separate utility company from Dominion's natural gas service provider in North Carolina, which is Public Service Company, which also confusingly does business as DENC?
Yes, I do understand. Okay. Yes, I do appreciate the difference.
All right, thank you. Those are all my questions. Thank you very much for coming this evening.
Just thank you. No additional questions from the public staff. Thank you, Mr. Stoner.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Stoner, for your testimony tonight. We could unmute the next witness, please.
John,
There we go.
Okay.
Hello,
Yes, who is speaking?
my name is Andrea Childers.
Okay, Ms. Childers, do you affirm that the testimony you're about to give tonight is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Mr. Creech?
Ms. Childers, can you please spell your name for the record?
Yes, it's AndreaChilders.
Thank you. And your address, please, for the record.
That is 270 Blackberry Lane, Rougemont, North Carolina, 27572.
And who is your utility provider or providers?
I am on Piedmont Electric, but I currently live less than a half a mile from Dominion Energy newly proposed site, Mariah Energy Center. I would like to speak as a neighbor to Dominion Energy and the effects of being a neighbor of Dominion Energy, and I think I should have a
Certainly.
voice.
Certainly. So please go ahead and proceed with your statement, please.
Yes. My name is Andrea Childers. I've lived in North Carolina for 50 years. I currently live in Person County and have lived in my home for 31 years. My home is situated less than a half a mile from the Mariah Energy Center. I am not here tonight to speak about the specifics of the center. Instead, I am here to speak on having Dominion Energy as a neighbor. Dominion Energy is opaque at best when it comes to sharing details of their facilities and their operations that will affect the community I live in. For example, I have been asking since November 6, 2023, where and how would they be getting 16 million gallons of water to the Mariah Energy Center to do their testing? As of May 23, 2024, I spoke with Rusty of Dominion Energy, and I was told they are still working on that. We are supposed to believe that a major component of their facility is becoming operational has not been figured out yet, and that they are still working on it. This is the type of action that is negligent at best and deceitful at worst. When Dominion speaks with its neighbors, it is always with a condescending tone, using industry vocabulary with really no concern for helping the general public understanding exactly what's going on their end. They do nothing to ensure the community that their facility is safe. For example, they have no emergency management plan, no way of communicating to neighbors should accidents occur, and many people in our community have no cell reception. Dominion has put nothing in place to protect these neighbors because our state has not required them to do so. Dominion has no plan for dealing with water cleanup should there be a leak. There will be no air monitoring system in place. Dominion will only do the bare minimum the state requires. Meanwhile, their neighbors have zero assurances they will be protected for the countless possible accidents that may occur. Dominion does absolutely nothing to show any corporate social responsibility. North Carolina does not need more Dominion Energy ventures. Please do what is right for the citizens of this state. The only thing Dominion Energy is going to do for our state is increase cancer rates, infertility rates, autoimmune diseases, and add to climate change.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Childers. Questions?
Just a couple, yes. Ms. Childers, my name is Andrea Cowles, and I am here representing Virginia Electric and Power Company doing business as DENC. Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you for your testimony. You may have heard me ask similar questions of Mr. Steiner, but since you mentioned the Mariah Energy Center, I just have one or two for you. You know, are you aware that the Mariah Energy Center is planned to be constructed by Dominion's North Carolina Natural Gas Utility, PSNC, which also goes by Dominion Energy North Carolina?
I am aware of that.
Okay. And are you aware that the proceeding we're here for tonight in docket E-100 sub 192 concerns Dominion's North Carolina Electric Utilities Integrated Resource Plan?
I am, and Dominion is Dominion.
And
They
you
may
are,
have different subtitles, but they're still the same company.
are you aware that it's a separate utility? The electric and the gas utilities are separate utility companies.
Well, then they shouldn't have the same name.
Thank you very much. That's all the questions I have.
Mr. Creech?
No additional questions. Just wanted to say thank you very much for being here tonight, Ms. Childers.
Thank you.
Ms. Childers, I'm going to ask Mr. Creech and Ms. Kells to work with you after this public witness hearing. She has indicated that she has a question about water issues with respect to that natural gas Mariah Energy Center. So outside of this docket, if you will work with Ms. Childers and the company to have her question answered.
Sure. Do I just stay on the line then?
No, they have your number. Mr. Creech has your number, and he will call you either after we conclude tonight for next steps or tomorrow.
Great. That's great. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Childers, for testifying tonight. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, call the next witness, please.
John, let's see. He's unmuting someone now.
Hello.
Yes. Is this Mr. Ahrens?
Yes, this is Don Ahrens.
Ahrens, thank you. Do you affirm that the testimony you're about to give tonight is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Mr. Ahrens, will you please spell your name, state and then spell your name for the record, please?
It's Donald Ahrens, DONALD AHRENS. I live at 11 Elderberry Lane in Rougemont.
Can you repeat that? I'm sorry.
114 Elderberry Lane, Rougemont, 27572.
Thank you. And who is your utility provider or providers?
My utility provider is Piedmont Electric, but just like Ms. Childers, I am also going to bear the brunt of Dominion building that Mariah Energy Center.
Well, do you have a statement that you'd like to offer tonight? If so,
I
please
do
proceed.
have a statement.
Please proceed.
Pardon me?
Please proceed.
Okay, and I just to be very clear, you know, your lawyer or Dominion's lawyer keeps talking about who their provider is, and it's very confusing. And I don't know if it's confusing on purpose, but there's several places where, you know, you look stuff up and they have their acronyms, and it's hard to track. But I'm going to give you my statement now. Dominion needs to stop relying on methane. If they continue to build an infrastructure for methane, the cycle will never stop. The consumer will be forced to pay the cost for these structures and the cost of climate change created by relying on methane. Only by breaking the cycle of methane usage do we have a chance to repair the damage we have done. Any delay is too long and unacceptable. You only have to watch the evening news to know the time is now to end the use of methane. And that is my statement.
Okay, thank
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do we have any questions?
No questions. Thank you.
No questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for calling in tonight and providing your testimony.
You have a good night.
You too. And I believe we have one more caller.
All right.
Hello, this is Katie Moore.
Hello, Ms. Moore. Do you affirm that the testimony that you are about to give tonight is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Ms. Moore, will you please state and then spell your name for the record, please?
Sure, it's Katie Moore, Katiemoore.
And your address, please.
411 North Lamar Street, Roxborough, 27573.
And who is your who is your utility provider or providers?
I have Duke Energy for electric and Dominion Energy for gas.
Thank you. Please proceed with your statement.
Thank you. My name is Katie Moore. I have over a decade of professional experience in air quality and health. And since January of this year, I've been working with others that you heard on this call to oppose PSNC's Mariah Energy Center. That has made me personally a lot more attuned to the energy plans in this state by all energy providers, including Dominion Energy's electric company. Because of that, we do not want Dominion to include more gas assets in their future planning for North Carolina, and we do not feel that Dominion's current IRP plans phase out fossil gas soon enough. The IRP, as best I read it, said that Dominion plans to phase out carbon emitting resources by 2045, which is insufficient. On June 5th of this year, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres said, "We need an exit ramp off the highway to climate hell. The truth is that the battle for 1.5 degrees will be won or lost in the 2020s under the watch of leaders today." To the Utilities Commission, that means you all. We have seen in our work that across Duke Energy, PSNC, Dominion Energy, and now Enbridge, there is a concerted effort by utility providers in this state to build out and build in fossil gas infrastructure to North Carolina that will only harm residents like myself. And we encourage the Utility Commission to do whatever is possible to force Dominion to phase out fossil gas infrastructure much sooner than is in the current IRP. Dominion and other utilities have regularly promoted the idea that fossil gas will increase the reliability of the energy grid, and there's no evidence of that. Gas routinely fails during winter storms and at higher rates than many renewable energy sources. Based on public staff comments, we also believe, and I also believe, that Dominion is putting its finger on the scale to make gas seem more economically feasible. As public staff pointed out in their comments, many aspects of Dominion's modeling force the model away from renewable energy resources, including limiting the amount of solar and battery resources that their model could use. And we agree with many of the public staff recommendations that Dominion redo their modeling to progressively increase the number of distributed solar resources. Similarly, we're concerned about the costs for already overburdened residents in North Carolina, even though I am not a utility user of Dominion Electric. However, I am a North Carolinian, and I am concerned about it. As I'm concerned, I think it's a trend across all of the providers that we have. As I read, the company does not include calculations about how the proposed plans in the IRP would impact North Carolina ratepayers specifically. And I question how the Utilities Commission can possibly evaluate this plan without knowing how it will impact customers' bills. This is especially concerning because the majority of Dominion's customers are located in Tier 1 counties, which are the most economically disadvantaged. In Person County, we work with residents here who are extremely energy burdened. And again, that is a trend across utility providers across the state that we find extremely disturbing. My final point is that this Utilities Commission decision and ones like it will impact everyday North Carolinians like myself and others on the call in profound ways. Despite this, these proceedings are inaccessible to community members. The planning process and Dominion's documents and structure make this whole process opaque, and everything is filled with jargon. Even for those of us who study climate and have advanced degrees, it's difficult to even understand understand the proceedings. It's difficult to sign up to speak. We spoke at another Utilities Commission hearing earlier this week, and several people attended thinking that they were being summoned to court. If that doesn't show you that people are not understanding that this is their opportunity to give comment and not understanding what y'all are deciding on, I don't know what else would. Everybody in the state is going to be impacted by these plans and these decisions that you all are making, and very, very few people understand and are able to actually voice what they want for the state. I will just say very clearly that for our group, who has been going up against Dominion's gas company, we have even more firmly rooted into our belief that we do not want more gas in North Carolina. And so I urge you to keep that in mind as you're reviewing this IRP, and I urge you to push for the options that allow us to transition to renewable energy and transition completely off of fossil energy this decade. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Moore. Are there questions?
Just a couple. Thank you, Ms. Moore, for your testimony. This is Andrea Cowles here on behalf of Virginia Electric and Power Company. I just wanted to thank you for your detailed testimony. Are you aware that Dominion will be filing its 2024 IRP in October of this year with an updated 15-year plan?
I am.
Okay. And are you aware that in reference to one of your concerns, that the Commission has directed Dominion to work with the public staff to develop a North Carolina specific bill analysis in its next IRP?
That's great. I think it's absurd y'all didn't do that before now.
No further questions. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Creech?
Yes, please. Ms. Moore, you've been on the whole, have you been able to hear the earlier comments this evening as well?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And did you hear earlier this evening, and you kind of touched on this a little bit, but there were a couple of comments relating to local engagement, stakeholder engagement. You talked about an opaque process and function. Did you hear those comments?
I did, yes.
And based upon your work with your group, do you have any suggestions, other suggestions about what the company could do to provide for better engagement there locally, and also help make this a less opaque process? Of course, all of us could play a role in that, but what would you offer?
I think I don't have any suggestions for the company because I don't believe that they have operated in good faith at any point. I mean, I haven't worked with this company directly, but that's been our experience. I would say that for the public staff and for the Commission, we would have a lot of ideas.
Okay, and I will say that in addition to myself, there are engineers from the public staff who are monitoring tonight's YouTube. And of course, this is being recorded. And so if you'd like, we would also be pleased to have a conversation with you and accept your comments. Any suggestions?
Yeah, and we'd be happy to talk to y'all anytime.
All right, thank you. Then we will follow up with you, Ms. Moore.
Okay, thank you.
That's all. That's all.
Thank you, Mr. Creech. Ms. Moore, can you state the name of your group again?
Sure, it's Person County Community Action Network.
Okay, thank you. And I was going to ask, it's similar to what Mr. Creech just asked you. You indicated that the proceedings were inaccessible to the community. And so when Mr. Creech follows up with you, I was going to ask you the same question as, what are your suggestions with respect to the proceedings from the standpoint of the Commission and the public staff? And so if you will, share those thoughts with him when the two of you contact each other after tonight.
I would be happy to.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Moore. We appreciate you calling in and providing your thoughts tonight.
Thank you all. Have a good night.
Have a good night. Mr. Creech, does that conclude the list of witnesses?
It's my understanding that it does. We had a fifth witness who was signed up, Seth Love, calling from a 203 area code, but I don't see that listed. John, we've heard from everyone on here tonight, I believe, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, no more witnesses that we're aware of.
Okay, thank you. Anything further from the parties?
Other than say thank you, we will follow up with the two individuals that you rightfully suggested. Thank you.
Okay, thank you all, and this hearing is adjourned.
Good night. Thank you.